Chapter 20th. Mohsen retreated for a few days, during which he learned that Ivanovich's health was very bad, and one morning the owner of the inn came knocking on his door. He opened in alarm. "What is the news?" "Your Russian friend. He died?" "He has not died yet, but he has been asking about you today since the sun rose." "How is he?" "I don't know. He claims that he is fine today, but he is sick with pneumonia. You know, a merciless disease. Remember that day when I woke up for help? He also fainted in the evening and was truly in a state of death, so we summoned a priest for him, but he had barely opened his eyes and seen him before he shouted to him and to us in a weak but excited voice, 'Get this drunkard with his rosy cheeks away from me.' Then imagine what embarrassment we all fell into. In any case, I have conveyed your message, Monsieur Mohsen, and you may go to him if you wish, or you may not go." The hostel owner left, leaving the boy in his place, kneeling and thinking. Mohsen could not find anything but to go to Ivan immediately, so he got up and went to his room, and found him in his bed, contemplating the rays of the sun entering through the window. The Russian became aware of Mohsen's entry and directed him. He looked at him and pointed to him with a smiling eye at a golden ray that was reflected on the bed. "How beautiful the sun is today." "Yes?" The boy said it indifferently, as he looked at the man's pale face and his joy, which resembled the joy of naive children, at this beam above his bed. Silence prevailed, which the patient broke with an almost whisper, "Ah! The light rises from the land of the sun and sets in the land of the west." Then he turned to Mohsen and said to him in a faltering voice, "Come closer, my friend, and wake me up a little, for I am tired of lying down for so long." The boy hesitated, fearing for him. "I am afraid." "Don't be afraid of anything, put me next to the window, I mean sit, where the sunlight will flood me." Mohsen saw no choice but to fulfill his desire, so he helped him get up, and walked him to the back of his wooden box, where he placed him on it, and the Russian said while inhaling the air with what remained of his lungs, "Thank you, friend." Then he took Mohsen's hand in his own, looked at him for a long time and said, "Will you promise me?" "For what?" "To go together to the East?" The boy hesitated a little, then looked at the man's frail being. "Yes, when you regain all your health. Today I feel that I have been healed. My health today allows me to travel, today in particular. Listen, I have in this fund an amount of money that I have saved that is sufficient for travel expenses. I will go out today looking for a buyer for these books and these luggage. I do not need books after today, but I need air, space, and serenity." Mohsen feared that the idea would grow in this patient's head, and he would commit a foolishness that would harm his health. He did not show enthusiasm for what he said. Then he wanted to dissuade him from his resolve, so he said, "I see that you are harsh in your judgment of the West, Monsieur Ivan. Whatever the case, Europe has brought human science to heights that it has never reached." The man let out a sarcastic laugh and said, "Who told you that? Do you know what science is, boy? Science is two sciences, the apparent science and the hidden science. Even today, Europe is a child, playing around under the feet of that hidden science with which the civilizations of Africa and Asia had truly reached the heights of human knowledge. As for the apparent science alone, it is its entire field, except that the power of the thinking machine is limited, and all the means of science the apparent are our apparent organs and senses, and these do not have the accuracy to be captured, other than trivial phenomena. Of the phenomena of nature and the universe, no matter how much machines and lenses cooperate with them. All this modern science that fascinates you, in reality, is nothing but a method, and a method. Yes, what is truly new in modern European science is the method of systematic thinking and the methods of organized rational research, but nothing more than that. As for calling the mere exploration of some properties of nature with our senses, reaching the heights of human knowledge, that is the greatest sarcasm. The heights of human knowledge are in the unknown of that hidden science which not only entered the mind of Europe, because, as I told you, her methods only prepare her to understand the superficial aspects of life, and I would not be harsh on her if I used the word superficiality, because that is the truth. The eye of European science always falls only on the surface of things. Like every eye, it is civil and does not perceive or recognize except what falls under its touch, sight, and the logic of its mind, and it is based only on the world of the tangible. I insist that this great city is nothing but an incomplete city. Because she only knows life in one world. I want to escape to the country that lives in two worlds, the country where human knowledge has risen to the heights of the two worlds. The man remained silent for a while, and Mohsen saw fatigue on his face and said to him, "Don't talk too much. I ask you to do so. What happened last time is sufficient for us. I will not speak, enough talking, but I will. To work." Then he stood up a little, leaning against the wall. Mohsen rushed to him. "Where to?" "I get dressed, to go out and sell these books, and prepare to travel." "Not now, not now. You're tired. Let me, young man, we will go to the east. I want to see the Mount of Olives, and drink from the water of the Nile, the water of the Euphrates, the water of Zamzam, and the water. And we leave this country, and this civilization, and leave Beethoven." "Oh, Monsieur Ivan. You can say everything about the West, so I will listen to you, but Beethoven is a true prophet. Here he is, a messenger of love and peace, worthy of raising the glory of the West forever and ever, purifying humanity and illuminating hearts." The Russian turned to Mohsen and said forcefully, "Beethoven. Beethoven. Yes, Beethoven, Handel, Mozart, Haydn, Jean Sebastian Bach, Michael Ang, Raphael, Rembrandt, Pascal, and St. Thomas, Copernicus, Galileo, Dante, etc., etc., all of these are nothing but blossoms in the lush garden of Christianity." Then he put his hand on the shoulder of Mohsen, the hammering arrow, "Come to the source, over there, over there." Then he left the boy in his tracks and leaned against the wall, searching for his shoes and jacket. Thoughts passed through Mohsen's head, and images of the East appeared to him today, so he raised his head and said to his Russian friend, "Have you never seen the East before?" The man replied, while putting his shoe on one of his feet, "I have never seen him except in my dreams, but I will not die before I see him." So Mohsen knocked again and was finally about to raise his head to say to Ivan, "Wait, wait, friend. That source you want to see, and those rivers you want to drink from, they were all poisoned. The day the blonde girl was injected into her thigh with poisonous morphine, she did not leave her parents unharmed. The matter is over, and there is no longer a pure spring. Asceticism has also gone from the East. And some of the clerics there today also know how to own cars, receive salaries, and have cheeks flushed with bliss and enjoyment. The beautiful and noble clothes of the East are today a strange mixture of European clothes, the sight of which arouses laughter. He is also aroused by the sight of monkeys snatching the clothes of tourists of different races, climbing up a tree with them, wearing them, and imitating the movements of their owners. General education in reading and writing, the right to vote and parliament, and all of these European ideas have become established principles in the East today, in which Easterners believe as much as they believe, or even more than they believe, in the principles of religions. It is easy to convince an Easterner today that his religion is corrupt, but it is not easy to convince him that big industry is the wheel of Satan with which he leads humanity to destruction, or that public teaching of writing symbols is a kind of nonsense. Today, you may be able to uproot the greatness of heaven from the head of an Easterner, but you will never be able to uproot from him the greatness of modern European science. It is easy for an Easterner to trivialize now the message of the prophets, but it is not possible for him to trivialize the message of modern material power. It is rather strange that these ideas and principles, which are considered in the East today as fixed as the verses revealed, may be discussed and contradicted by the Europeans themselves, while they still retain all their strength with us. The cannon may be fired in Europe against some of these ideas, and we see the light of its flame, but the sound does not reach our ears, not because of the distance, rather, it is because our ears do not hear, and our hearts do not understand. The injection had a strong effect and impact. Yes, and no one knows whether Europe injected the East with pure opium or with opium mixed with a potent poison, which ran, and is still running, in its arteries, killing all the seeds of Eastern ideals in the souls. The young men of the East today, when they wanted to be an example of manhood and heroism, did not turn to Gandhi, but they turned with eyes, as if she was hypnotized to the same extent as Mussolini. And when they wanted to make austerity, flogging, and roughness a clothing, they did not put on their strong, naked bodies a simple robe of cotton, which they made with their own hands, but they wore European-colored shirts. So even the heroes of the East have died in the hearts of the Easterners. Yes, today there is no East. It is a forest with monkeys on its trees, dressed like the West, without order, understanding, or awareness. Mohsen did not dare to say such words to his Russian friend. He realized that this man, for whom nothing in the West could heal his anxious and confused soul, he has placed all his hope in the East, and he has created great images of the East in his head that are all his remaining hope, and if the truth is revealed to his eyes now, the most horrific stab with which this poor man will be killed. So he left him in his imagination, and the boy finally raised his head to see what his friend was doing, and his mouth was lying on the back of the box and his head. He went to the wall and had a shoe on one of his feet. He was horrified to see it and rushed to him. "What's wrong with you, Monsieur Ivan? What is with you?" The man said in a voice like a rattle, "It is too late." "What time?" "Go alone, to there." "Shall I call a doctor for you, Monsieur Ivan?" "I ask you." "No. Don't do anything, I know myself." He tilted his head, and the remaining light in his eyes went out, but he stood up and said in a voice that could hardly be heard, "You, my friend, go there to the spring, and carry my memory alone with you. Goodbye."